Hello, 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 beautiful people. Here we are again with another Empowered Present episode. So today I have the beautiful, wonderful, talented Miss Jaunai Walker. Okay. Jay, as she goes by, is an international personal growth and business development speaker, coach, and trainer. She comes with over 19 years of sales and marketing experience in the education, medical, and advertising industry. So she's been around the block when it comes to sales. Okay. She is the Chief Inspiration Officer at the Success Group Inc. and the founder of the Sales Success Society. She's dedicated to serving people and hopes to inspire both entrepreneurial and career sales professionals to be the absolute best version of themselves while selling their products and services. Jay is a devoted Christian, loves connecting with others, and currently resides in South Florida. And I am so excited to chat with her today. Hey, 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 how are you?
Hey Mel, thank you so much for having me on your show. Definitely excited to be here and to talk about my experience in selling. And yeah, I know I've been around that block a couple of times. I can't believe, actually in this year, I think November, December marks 20 years of selling for me.
Mm,
So just being able to reminisce on some of the good times that I had and some of the not so great times that I've had these last 20 years, it's really just mind-boggling to me that I have been around for so long in one of the most difficult or what people think to be difficult careers or professions that we could get into, right?
yeah,
You know,
sales is
so
definitely a challenge for a lot of people. It is because a lot of people they don't want to come off as like the sick car salesman because they had a bad rap,
yeah,
right? They
yeah,
don't want to feel sleazy. They don't want to feel like they're begging you for some money or begging for
right.
the sale or they're pressuring you into buying this thing that they may or may not need. So
Right.
there's a lot to it, and I think a lot of it starts with
Yeah.
mindset.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. As a matter of fact, in my sales course called Unshakable, that's one of the things that I help people bust through is that mindset of
Mm,
selling, right? It's so funny because a couple of weeks I was talking to a potential client and I was asking her, I said, "Hey, do you know what selling is? Like, what does that mean to you?" And she said, "Yeah, it's making people buy something that they don't want or need."
wow.
And I was like, "Wait, what?" Like, okay, like first off, I had to stop her in her tracks. I was like, "You do know that you did come to me for sales training, right? Like if you really think about sales in that way, you're probably not going to be successful. First off, it's a lack of integrity to sell something sell something to somebody that they really don't need. I've never done that in my career. That's a human piece of of just be good to people, right? Like we don't do that. And second of all, you can't make people do something that they don't want to do, right? I understand you could probably pressure people, and some people are like so super nice that they don't want to say no. But you have to learn how to say no first and foremost. If you don't need what somebody's selling, and if the deal is not right, by all means say no. My customers have said no to me countless of times. They have no qualms about saying no, right? But tackling that mindset, yeah, I know what we see on TV, the car salesman, they look like they're just not listening, they're just trying to sell you any old thing. They're not paying attention to to questions, what you're saying, what your needs are. They're not asking great questions. Yeah, if you thought about sales in that way, you're probably not going to want to sell. I wouldn't want to sell that way, right? So, yeah, tackling that mindset and getting people to really think about a really positive interaction that they might have had with a salesperson and helping them to outline some of the characteristics that that person had and how that person made them feel when they were trying to find like a true solution to an answer, or anything like that. That's what selling is. I feel like we help people solve problems. We shouldn't be creating problems.
That's right. Absolutely, absolutely right. So I know for
Yeah.
me, I had to overcome a lot as an entrepreneur myself to try, get comfortable with
Yeah.
asking for the sale. And that goes back to money mindset, which is a whole different
Yeah.
topic and conversation.
Yeah.
But I want to learn a little bit more about your story
Yeah.
as a woman of color coming up in this industry, 20 years
Yeah.
selling. Talk to me a little bit about some of the things that you've encountered, some of the challenges that came with that, how you
Mm.
overcame, and kind of what that looks like today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I first got into selling after I finished up with my master's degree in business, right? And I was a theater major, so I thoroughly enjoyed auditioning. I loved going for the part. And when I went to graduate school, I had to think about, okay, what's my next step? And I thought about going through the audition process and that thrill of a yes or a no. And I was like, oh, maybe sales, right? Because sales, you either get the deal or you don't. So when I first got into selling, that's how I looked at it, but I had absolutely no training in selling whatsoever, right? And so when I got my first job, first moved to Florida, and I remember I was selling advertising, and I unfortunately was placed with a manager who, for whatever reason, did not want to help or to train me.
Mm,
And man, I just remember feeling so dejected and just like, what's wrong with me? How could she want to spend time with the other people, but not really want to spend time with me? And so, I was really depressed about it for a long time. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to, make it here in Florida. I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent, my car note, because my salary at that time was only $25,000 a year
mm,
plus bonus, right? And so one of my coworkers at that job, he kind of pulled me aside and he was like, you can't let somebody else be responsible for your success. If she's not going to train you, what are you doing? You need to pick up a book, you need to go to a class, you need to reach out to people. And honestly, that was some of the best advice that I've ever been given, is that I have the power to learn how to be who I need to be in order to do what I
mm,
want to do. Right? That was that first lesson. And so I began picking up books. I remember going like to actual like bookstores, like there was Barnes and Nobles, Books a Million, used bookstores, that was the thing. For a long time. So I used to actually go to the bookstores and pick out like books, and I would come home and I would read those books, and then I would go to work and I would use those tactics or those strategies, and then I began to start to have success, right? And I was like, "Oh my god, wow." Like I started selling something every day. Then I started selling bigger things every day. And
nice.
then it got to the point to it was like, okay, can we have Jay train people on how to do what she's doing? Now, here I was, 26 years old, fresh out of graduate school, in a career where most of my colleagues at the time were 40s and 50s, had been in sales for a very long time. And here's little old me coming in, having a little bit of success, and like, this is what you guys need to do. And it was that opportunity where I fell in love with the idea of, okay, I can do this, I just have to learn. And then I want to teach other people. It became like not a game, but became a positive challenge for me. And that at that point, I realized that I had wanted to share this profession with everybody. 'Cause I'm like, look, I knew nothing, but if I read this book and I can do it and you can do it too. And so that actually was the spawn of my career, and I credit that that manager at that time. Thank you so much for not training me. Thank you so much for
Mm,
making me have to figure this stuff out on my own, because if you would have fed me, I probably wouldn't have been as successful as I am today. So I'm going to release that forgiveness that
wow.
I tried to hold on and not give to her, but I'm going to give that forgiveness because of her, it's where I sit today. And a couple other people that have helped me along the way, because once people saw that I had this talent, there's been people that have come along in my life and they say, "Oh no, Jay's special. She is going to really be and have an impact in people that we put her in front of." And people have really began to mold me at that time at a very young age, and that made me want to do it even more, and to really help struggling people who don't have somebody that wants to mold them, like those people that get in touch with that type of manager that don't want to do anything and then they quit, right?
Hmm.
Instead of learning how to do it on their own. I want to be like that striving force that tells them, no, 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 you can figure this out.
I love that. How about some healing in the process when you let go of that manager? Okay.
Yeah,
I
I hope
love
she's
that so
watching.
much.
Yeah, this is like red table talk. You know, it's like I'm getting my healing while I'm at it.
Oh my goodness, that's so powerful though, right? Being able to look back and recognize the points in which you thought were low points,
Yeah,
and they turn out to be a new path for you.
yeah,
And it builds you. It builds your character. It builds your story. It builds your perseverance and your resilience. And I love that. And these are all things you need in sales. And when we
yeah,
talk about sales, we're selling all day, every day,
yeah.
right? I
Yes.
have to sell to my kids
Hmm.
to
Yeah,
eat this thing or get up and go to school or do your chores. I have to sell all the time. And so when it comes to personal branding and really, selling yourself, that is hard for a lot of people. So what would you say around that in terms of being able to sell yourself?
well, being able to sell yourself is so important. And I have something to admit to everybody. For the
Mm-mm.
longest time, I was able to sell other people and other people's products more than I was able to sell myself.
Mm.
I spent so much time thinking about other people and other people's products that I never stopped to think about what I was bringing to the table. And so that happens to be an esteem problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
We should never get to the point to where we don't sell ourselves. As a matter of fact, something that I learned a couple of years ago in my women's leadership course is that women are less likely to self promote themselves in the corporate environment. So women are less likely to get opportunities, they're less likely to get promotions, they're less likely to get pay raises. And a lot of it is because we spend so much time building up other people's stuff. We
Mm.
forget that when we walk into the room that we are a force to be reckoned with. And so when I learned how to sell myself, a whole world opened up for me, because when I struggled with selling myself, I also struggled in interviews and
Right.
getting really great opportunities. I think you and I had a conversation about that years back, right? Where you had to instill a little confidence in me because I was really struggling with that piece of it. So when it comes to selling yourself, I'm going to say if you think that you're good at it, get better at it. If you think that you're not great, learn to think about yourself in that manner. Even if you think about three different skill sets that you have and you just attach a couple of really strong, powerful adjectives to them. I
Mm.
always tell people, if you really want to show up strong, be phenomenal, awesome, and great. Be phenomenal at something, be awesome at something, be great at something. You tie those in, whether you're in front of a customer, tie those in, whether you're in front of an interviewer, it'll showcase the talent along with three of your really big skill sets that you bring to the table. Let that be a start. But selling yourself, we have to get better at that. Women, we have got to get better at selling ourselves, at knowing our strengths, at knowing that when we walk into the room that we belong there, at knowing that our skill sets matter because they keep bringing us to bringing us back and bringing us to these roles. So we know that we're good at what we do. But the problem is we don't communicate that. And that's
That's right.
another big part of selling is communicating. You can't just think that you're great. You have to put that out there a lot of times. And it's not a braggadocious type of a thing. Let me tell you, in selling, we have brag books, right? And for those of you who are in sales, old school selling, there's my brag books under there. You can probably see them. Have your brag book. Keep a track record of every accomplishment that you have done both in corporate America and maybe out of corporate America, and look at that sometimes. Look at that. And if you're going for a job, be able to speak to those and speak to it confidently and knowing that you are showing up as the best you possible.
Love that. I love that so much. I just read an article on LinkedIn yesterday, and it was talking about, outlook on work, the work
Hmm.
world, and whatnot. And they said, although women have had, like, I think 11% increase. I hope I'm not misquoting the article,
Hmm.
but the number that I want to point out here is, even though they did rise a little bit, they're still they're still settling for $25,000 less
Wow.
than their male counterparts.
Yeah.
So even though we're making a little bit of progress, we're still way behind.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will say, oh, these companies, but the companies are only going to do what we allow them to do.
Yes.
We as a collective need to stand up and say, sorry, I deserve way more. And here is why.
Right.
That's the part
Right.
that I think we're missing, is the understanding of why do you deserve more,
Right.
right? And that
Yeah.
selling of yourself to get that higher salary because you deserve it. Why do you deserve it? Show me some proof. Show me some numbers. Tell me
Right.
some antidotes about what you've done that would be of benefit or value to our organization.
Right. Exactly. And that goes back to knowing your audience, right? And knowing what your audience needs to hear in order to give you a yes. And that's something that we talk about in the Sales Success Society as well. So when you are positioning or negotiating yourself in that manner, you have to present not just your skill set, and we have to remember to take our emotions out of it because I'm gonna say something. I feel like as Black women, sometimes we sit on this stuff and we sit and our feelings kind of stew. So by the time we get the nerve to go and actually say something, we're sitting on a ball of emotions, right? And so it
Mhm.
might not come across the right way because our emotions are getting the best of us. So we have to remember to kind of remove ourselves from the emotions part and remember that our audience is going to be looking for facts, figures, stats, and verbs,
That's right.
action
And
verbs.
you know what else? It's funny you say that. We're sitting in a ball of emotions. We, first of all, we talk with way more energy.
Yeah.
So it comes off aggressive, right? Angry Black woman. And it's just because we're passionate,
Yeah.
right? And so it's funny you brought that up about just kind of taking everything in, because we take in a lot.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
take
A
in a
lot
lot
for
of,
sure.
of different things, and it's all, impacting us emotionally.
Yeah.
But we, a lot of times, especially at work or professional settings, we a lot of times don't feel safe
Yeah.
expressing how we feel about something.
Yeah.
And by the time we get there, like you said, we didn't bottled up 6 different incidences, and now we ready. At number 7, it's over. We're about to blow.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to make sure that you have good sounding boards to run things through. I always tell my boss all the time, now that I've vented, I think I'm good. I can get back to my job.
Right.
Because she allows me to say what I need to say, get that ball of emotions out, and then I'm fine. I could go back to doing my work, and I think that that's an important part. And not just Black women, but I think people in general. If you notice that that is a character trait that you have, having feelings and emotions are a good thing. It's just how you express them and not letting them hold you back from being productive, right? So it's okay to show up passionately, but you also want to know that not every feeling or emotion deserves a reaction, and that you need to have a sounding board. You need to have somebody that you can talk to, that you can vent to, and that can set you straight, and that's not afraid to say, no, that's not what this is here. This is something else. And you can kind of be like, oh, okay, all right, well, I'm just going to go over here and just do my job. You need to have somebody that gives you that type of environment. And unfortunately, for us, I believe, and I was talking to one of my good friends about this, about some of the struggles I was having with my emotions, um, just not being able to, have that great emotional intelligence like I thought I had, right? And one of the things that she said to me actually gave me permission to allow myself to feel. And she said, I do the same thing. It's not just you. And for the longest time, I thought it was just me. And then because she said that, I was allowed or felt comfortable sharing my struggles with other women in corporate America, people who look like me, and they too had the same experience. And so, because all of that, um, was validated, I felt a lot better in being able to say, okay, this is who I am, this is what I need to work on. I think I lost you there. I think we lost Melanie, everybody. She should be back here shortly. But thank you all for tuning in. I cannot see all of the comments or anything right now, but thank you guys so much. Hopefully, Mel will be back. I will be posting the link at the end to all of you to go into Sales Success Society, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Hey, everyone. Hey, Agnes. Hey, Far. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Hey, Miss Joyce. Glad that you are here. Hey, Sokola. Hey, Melanie. So I will continue while we wait for Melanie. I know one of the things that we talked about was mindset. That is one of the really big things. Um, Not a problem. Thank you. Not a problem. Thanks, Mel. Thank you. Thank you, Hannah. Good old tech, right? So I want to just share with you mindset definitely is important, but the next thing after you're able to tackle your mindset is your ability to have conversations, right? And when you think about selling is all about having a conversation with people. Nothing more, nothing less, but it is more of a guided conversation. You should know what steps you need to take that customer through in order to help them to make an informed decision, but you should also understand on the flip side of that what the customer could be experiencing or thinking as they are going through that buying process with you. So having those conversations that are guided, that helps you to understand where you are and what the next step is, as well as for the customer what they're thinking and what their logical next question should be, is going to allow you to take your customer on a journey that's going to lead to them making a yes or a no type of decision. The next thing that's important on top of conversations is you want to be able to build relationships. And building relationships is so key that it's actually a make or break type of skill set. So when it comes to relationships, you want to be able to build them, you want to be able to navigate them, and you want to be able to make people feel comfortable in those relationships. And one of the things that I always tell people when they are learning how to sell is to make people like you. Find a way to get people to like you. Thank you, Anna. Um, Now, when I say that, there's something in sales that we talk about as the know, like, and trust factor. It's kind of the concept where we think about people do business with those that they know and they have to like you, right? But you really want to get to the point to where your customers are beginning to trust you. Do they see you as somebody that is going to be truthful? Do they see you as somebody that holds true to their word? Do they see you as somebody that's in it for them and in this relationship for the long haul? Once you are able to show that to your potential customer, they will begin to like you. They will begin to see your personality show up and see that you are really in it to help them win. And building those solid and strong relationships, action after action after action, is really what's key. Now, a lot of people ask me, so what happens if something was to go wrong with my service or something is to go wrong with my product? Well, that's very unfortunate, right? That something goes wrong. But here's the key. This is your make or break it time as far as that relationship with your customer. If you are able to get in there and to communicate with your customer, okay, this is what happened. This is how I'm going to fix it, right? Now you're beginning to develop that trust because most customers know not everything is 100%, right? There's going to be, especially if you're in a service business, there's people involved, and where there's people involved, things go wrong. And sometimes when you're dealing with products, sometimes products malfunction, right? But the one thing that's going to stand the test of time outside of your service and your product is going to be how you deal with those problems. And so you want to be able to use this time as a way to showcase how strong you are, how committed you are, how knowledgeable you are. So that way, when something else comes down the pike and it's not right or something needs fixing, guess who they're going to come to? They're going to come to you because they have experience with you and working with you when things are not absolutely right. The last thing I want to talk about when it comes to selling is getting to the yes, and that's the closing part of it. And that's where a lot of people tend to have a struggle. It's okay, I've got this person on the phone. I've told them all about my products. I've asked them some really great questions. I understand what their needs are. But now, how do I get to the point to where they actually buy what I'm selling? Well, I will share with you that I was working with a customer one time for a very long time because I was doing relationship selling. I was working with the customer, and for some reason, I kept going back to this customer, but he would never purchase any of my products, never. And so one time, sitting on that ball of emotions like I usually do, I just was like, I come in here time after time again. We have really good conversation. We're talking about the products. You seem to love my products. You ask me really great questions, but you never use or buy any of my products. What's up with that, right? And my customer simply just looked at me. He says, "Well, Jay, you never asked." I was like, "What? You never asked?" So as a salesperson, I could do everything from A to Z, but if I do not ask that closing question at the end and help my customers to take action, they're not going to buy. And we have to be able to understand that. So, for those of you who might be feeling that you're a little lost when it comes to getting down to the business or getting someone to say yes, I would question, did you ask? Because customers need to be guided. Customers want to be asked. Customers are waiting to be closed, right? They want to hear what the offer is. And if you're not giving that, you're giving them education that can spawn them over into maybe talking with the competitor. And if that competitor asks for the business, all that hard work that you just put in could be gone. And so you really want to be careful about not asking for the business. And it could literally just be as simple as that. You know, I'm going to ask for this business, Mr. Customer, Mrs. Customer. Is this something that we're ready to move forward on? Yes or no? You know? And if there is some uncomfortable silence there, that's fine. That's fine too. You know, they always say, "Oh, the first person that talks loses." Loses. It's either the customer. But I don't want to be in a competition or a game with my customer. I want to be able to sit side by side with my customer, and I really want them to see me as somebody that's helping them to make a decision. Because when it boils down to it, they're either going to be a right fit for what I'm selling or they're not. And if they're not a right fit, I feel like within my integrity, I need to be the person that says this is not a right fit. Let me refer you somewhere else or to a different type of product. Because I'm not just in this for me. I'm in this to see my customer win. So why would I sell them something that's not going to work? Right. And you have to think about that as well, right? Think about your integrity. If you get down to the bottom of your sale and you recognize that this is not the right solution or the right fit for you or for your company or for your product or service, you want to be able to refer that customer to where they need to go. And that goes for career sellers and that goes for entrepreneurial sellers. And I know that I have a lot of people here that are dualpreneurs, maybe some people like myself who work a full-time job and we have a business at night, right? And that's fine too. And so when you get to these selling conversations, they're even more important, right? Because you don't have that much time because you're in both worlds. And so learning how to have these selling conversations are very, very, very critical, and that's why I wrote my program, my training program called Unshakable, because I was feeling like a lot of people that were coming to me were super scared of the sales conversation. They were super scared of, now they had this business, but customers weren't coming. They didn't realize that they were going to have to learn this skill set, right? So learn how to have sales conversations that convert. So a lot of people they might feel not confident. They might feel shaken, and so that's why I named my program Unshakable because I'm literally giving people all of the skill sets that they need in order to have a thorough conversation. Hey Mel, welcome back.
Ooh, child. The internet said nope, not today.
That's okay. I was just giving some nuggets while you were gone, and I was just finishing up with helping people learn some skill traits as a sales trainers. As a sales trainer, I teach that, right? And so I want them to be able to uncover some of the additional skill sets that they're probably already doing on a day-to-day basis to help them either in their business as an entrepreneurial seller or as someone like myself that was a professional salesperson for my career. So hopefully, I've done a good job for most of the people that were able to hang on. And thanks for all the encouragement as well to keep pushing forward.
Well, thank you for continuously going because I was like, what happened to the stream? I seen you were still on there. I was like, good job. She got it. She on her Beyonce. The show must go on.
Show must go on. Absolutely.
Oh, okay. So I wanted to ask you some specific examples or any advice or tips you would give to someone who is in sales as a woman of color, and how to navigate this industry and move up and get promoted and things like that, in this male dominated industry.
Yeah. When I got my first sales training job, it was because of a conversation that I had in the interview process with my manager and their manager. And when they asked me what my 5-year plan was, I told them it was to be a sales trainer. And so that conversation literally was the start of me having a true sales trainer type of a role. And so my first thing is that if you really want to move up and you know where you want to go, you have to make that be known, right? You cannot get there by yourself. You're going to have people to support you. And luckily for me, my manager and their manager at the time supported that. I started that job in February. I was training by April. By January, before my first year, I was already promoted to a sales training role within first year, right? And it was all because I made it clear that that's what I wanted to do. Now, when that happened, I realized I had to step up my game. I could not just show up to work as a normal sales rep. I had to be constantly learning these sales strategies. I had to find ways of communicating to other people how to use these sales strategies in my industry with their customers, right? And so I had to take on some additional skill sets that made it, a little bit more challenging. But for me, it was fun to do. And that's when I realized I'm like, I really do believe that this is my passion. This is what I'm put here on earth to do because for me, it feels good. It feels natural. But being able to do that, you want to go in think about what feels natural for you. Where do you want to go? I will also say that learning sales, no matter what role you're in any industry, is only going to be a plus. Every company does sales because if they don't, they would not be here. They're not going to be sustainable. So if you learn sales skills, you're going to be a top of the crowd anyway, right? So learn sales skills, tell people what avenue you want to investigate as far as promotions or looking into other roles that you could see yourself in. The third thing I would say is you have to practice your craft. Now, I always use the analogy of football because I'm a big football person, like die hard, go Steelers. You already know what it is, right? But when I think about the Steelers and I think about any of the other NFL players that hit the field on Sunday or Monday night, they've probably practiced the week before. And the one thing I learned or that I feel that we could get better at as professionals is continuing to practice and study our craft. And when we get in our role, even if it's our dream role, it does not stop there. I still learn how to sell. I still learn sales strategies. I still go to sales trainings. I still ask people how I could get better, right? I still bug my mentors. I bug anybody that's going to listen, right? Because I practice my craft and we don't do that a lot. Once we become professionals, unless we're in professional basketball or professional football or soccer or whatever it is, they believe in practice, but how come we stop?
Right, right. Oh, I love that. I love that. It's like always learning and always yearning for knowledge and new ways of doing things and better ways. Even if you've been successful, there's always
Yeah,
a better way. There's always room for
always.
improvement. I love
Yep.
that. And like you said, any role, right? So we talk about, being in sales, but any role in the organization, sales is going to be important
Yes.
because you have to sell. Like for me, when I was in corporate, I had to sell to other departments on what we wanted them to do,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
So, no, again, it goes back to what you keep saying about knowing and understanding who you're selling to, what they need, what they want, and then positioning your thing so that they will bite. That's
Yes.
going to be so, so important for anybody, no matter
Yes.
what.
Absolutely. And you bring up something really important too, is we have to understand selling to the internal customer as well as the external customer. So for those of us who are not customer facing, and generally when we think of sales, we think of professions that are customer facing. You could be inside of an organization and you might have to pitch something to a different department. That's selling. And when you
Yep.
talked about earlier, everybody sells, that is so true. I believe personally, this is me, and it might sound crazy, but I believe that we learn selling skills as babies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, as a baby, I would learn how to throw temper tantrums to get my mom to give me something that I wanted, right? That's what we learn. We learn that if we do A, we can get B. So we understand that that's a natural instinct. So learning to sell is not difficult for a lot of us because we've already been there. But when it comes to everybody selling, you already have the skill set. You just need to tweak the mindset a little bit so you can understand. And then once you tweak that mindset, I kid you not, you'll probably get addicted to a lot of the stuff when it comes to selling because it's about communication, it's about persuasion, right?
Yeah,
Persuasion is not necessarily a bad thing, it's not manipulation. We don't do that. We don't want to manipulate people, but positive persuasion is where it's at. And whether you are on the external or the internal side of the company, where you're having to sell to different departments, you still want to learn sales skills. It'll help you in the long run.
I love that. You spitting, right? You said we have the skill set. We just got to switch the mindset.
That's it.
That's a bar.
That's a bar.
I love that so much. Oh my goodness. This has been so good. So good. So, as you know, some parting words, what is it that you want to say to the people listening today about, being a woman of color in sales and really moving up that ladder and being successful?
I want to say that as a person that has struggled with esteem before, as a person that has continuously showed up time and time again with questioning my own confidence, I want to say that you have the ability to learn what you need to do in order to become the person you need to become. And if there's something out there that you do not know, you can learn it, right? And that truly should unlock a superpower for you because someone can come in and speak something and you might not know what it is. We have so many tools. There's so many experts out there. The internet has unlocked this wonderful world of coaching where there's lots of people where you can go and you can definitely learn a skill set. And so I highly encourage people to learn, to get out there and learn something. I always tell people you should be striving to get 1% better every day.
Love that.
1%. If that's a paragraph, fine. If that's a chapter, fine. Get you an audiobook, listen on your way to work. That's what I used to do. On my way from account to account to account, it was audiobooks for me. That's how I was able to stay in the know. And all that stuff compounds. When we talk about habits, this is where the compounding effect takes place because that 1% over a period of time automatically makes you an expert. And now you can go out there and you can do it. And don't be afraid to execute. You're going to make mistakes. Things are not going to go right. I can't tell you how many mistakes I've made. I can't tell you how many deals I have lost because I didn't do something right in the process. But I can tell you that I kept going and eventually I got stuff right. And
Nice.
that's why I'm here today. Not because I'm so great at what I do, it's because I refuse to give up. Even if I had somebody that wasn't going to teach me or to show me how to do something, I refuse to let that be my story. I'm my story. I create my story, and hopefully, you guys will create yours.
Awesome. Thank you so, so, so much for your time today. I appreciate you so much. Let them know about the Founder Circle membership and the
Yeah,
special offer that you have.
yeah, absolutely. So, I have a baby that's being birthed in these business streets, and it's called Sales Success Society. And this is my container for how I want to help people learn these selling skills. And it's a way where it allows us to show up you know, time is of essence, right? We're all working, we're all running businesses, but how do we learn these skill sets? Well, in the Sales Success Society, I will teach you all the selling skills that you need. On top of that, you cannot know and grow unless you have a personal growth strategy, right? So, also inside the Sales Success Society is a personal growth component where we'll talk about different things like time management, goal setting, all the things that you need to grow as a person. And so I invite everyone that is a part of this live audience that if you would like to be a part of Sales Success Society, I am offering, and the doors haven't even opened yet. I'm opening it just for you, and the
Wow.
class is in there. There's a 14 lesson class on sales that you will get to keep, right? It teaches you all the sales skills that you want to know. I'm giving you guys free reign of that community for 2 full months. That community is going to sell for $97 a month, just so you guys know. And I feel like that is even a steal for all this stuff because most sales training's going for thousands upon thousands of dollars, right? But you guys are going to get access to that community and be the first people in that community for 2 months for free. So if that is something that you are interested in seeing and you want to get in there and take advantage of that selling class and those other there's a library in there that's full of information that's related to personal growth and selling and marketing. Get in there. Send me a message on LinkedIn or whatever platform you are on right now, and I will send you your own personal invite and I will let you bust down those doors.
Wow, that is so generous. That is bananas, actually, because clearly you're legit and clearly it's going to be phenomenal information.
Thank you.
So definitely contact Miss J. Privately message her on LinkedIn or Facebook. Get in there and get the goods for $0 for 2 months. It's
Yes.
gonna be good. Trust
Yes.
me.
And it won't even automatically renew you at the 97. We can have a conversation at that point. So you don't so there's no risk to you guys at
Yeah.
all. So, and you can find me on all forms of social media at Jaunai Walker. And let me just spell my name. It's Jaunai, last name Walker, Walker, just for those of you who are listening and you can't see my name anywhere. I do want to make sure that you know how to spell it so you can find me. And if you are struggling with the any forms of social media, you can also find me on my website at www.jaunaiwalker.com.
Awesome. And the links, all those links are gonna be somewhere around the video or the recording or the podcast. So just check around for that as well.
Awesome.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. This was
Mel, thank
awesome,
you.
phenomenal. Thank you so, so, so much. All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Bye.